Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Gold Rush Tony Beets Viking Funeral Halting Water License. Gold Rush fans want to see Tony Beets get his water license so he can get 2 dredges running. However, there is something from his past that might be getting in his way. Could his Viking funeral have killed any chance that Tony has of getting his water license? Here is a look at the Viking funeral and what it means for Tony getting a water license. What is Tony Beets Viking funeral on Gold Rush? A fan on Reddit started a thread saying fans should start a petition to help Tony Beets get his water license on Gold Rush. While several fans mocked the post's idea that a petition could sway the Canadian and tribal governments, others brought up the reason that Tony is not able to get his water license. Way back in 2017, Tony Beets was part of what he called a joke gone bad on Gold Rush. This was the Viking funeral. In the episode, welder Mark Favron was on his last day working for Beets. He asked if he could pull the stunt, and Beets said he didn't care. What Favron did was highly illegal. He poured gasoline into the water, and then another employee lit it on fire. The entire area burst into flames, and everyone hooped and hollered in triumph at the Viking funeral. However, this polluted the water, and Favron ended up fined $1,725 after pleading guilty. Tony ended up in Yukon Territorial Court for the stunt, charged under the Yukon Waters Act. His crime was allowing the stunt to take place and not reporting it. The courts took notice when the stunt aired on Gold Rush and charged him with pollution charges. Why this hurts Tony Beets on Gold Rush? Brendan Mulligan, a senior water quality scientist for the Yukon government, testified gasoline contains toxins and carcinogens. They can harm humans, other animals, and aquatic life. This is a big deal, and Tony ended up in a lot of trouble for it. The Redditors who brought this up on the recent thread talked about the incident as a reason Tony Beets isn't getting his water license. Everyone keeps ignoring that stunt. If your company relies on water permits, pouring gasoline in a pond and setting it on fire for a TV show probably isn't a great idea, one fan wrote. Others mentioned that Tony doesn't do a good job of repurposing the land after he finishes his mining. While Parker Schnabel got an award for his work at this, Tony is not as respected. With the Viking funeral in his past and his lapse of judgment in other areas, there is a chance he never gets this water license. In the remote, frostbitten corners of the Yukon, where the icy winds howl like the restless spirits of ancient adventurers, Tony Beets, the legendary king of the Klondike, finds himself facing a trial unlike any other. Known for his gruff demeanor, larger-than-life personality, and uncanny ability to extract gold from the most unforgiving of terrains, Tony has always been the epitome of a modern-day Viking. His empire, built on the shimmering promise of gold, is as vast and unyielding as the northern wilderness itself. Yet now, as the sun sets on another grueling season of Gold Rush, Tony stands at a crossroads that threatens to dismantle everything he has fought to build. The issue at hand is a bureaucratic nightmare, a water license renewal that has been halted, suspended in a web of red tape. Without it, Tony's entire operation is at risk. The water that flows through his dredges, sluices, and the very heart of his mining empire has been choked off by the hands of distant regulators who neither know nor care about the fortunes that depend on it. For Tony, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a death sentence for his dreams, his legacy, and perhaps even the spirit of the Yukon itself. It's been said that the Beets family has gold running through their veins, and Tony embodies this more than anyone. He's never been one to back down from a challenge, whether it be nature's fury or human folly. But this time, the stakes are different. This isn't a battle against the elements, but a struggle against an invisible force, a system that seems more intent on strangling his ambitions than safeguarding the environment it claims to protect. The days grow shorter, and the Arctic winter looms ever closer. Tony can feel the pressure mounting, not just from the halted license, but from his crew, his family, and even the land itself. The sluice boxes, once roaring with the furious torrent of water and gravel, now stand silent, their hunger for gold unsated. The dredge, a behemoth that has chewed through countless yards of pay dirt, rests idle, a metal giant now asleep under a blanket of impending snow. As Tommy surveys his domain, a sense of foreboding creeps into his usually indomitable spirit. He has always considered himself a modern-day Viking, conquering the unforgiving wilderness and laying claim to its riches. But now, the Viking in him is being forced to consider something he has never faced before: the possibility of defeat. In the ancient traditions of the Norse, a Viking warrior would be honored with a grand funeral upon his death, a ship set ablaze and sent drifting out to sea, a final voyage to the afterlife. Tommy, ever the pragmatist, has never been one for sentimentalities, but the symbolism is not lost on him. He feels as though he is watching his own Viking funeral, the flames licking at the edges of his legacy as it drifts further and further out of his grasp. But Tommy Beets is not a man who goes quietly into the night. The fire in his belly is as fierce as the molten gold he seeks, and even as the specter of this metaphorical funeral looms, he knows there is still time to fight. He calls his family together, Minnie, his rock and confidant, Monica, the fierce daughter who has inherited his determination, and Kevin, the son who is as relentless as his father. Together, they form a formidable unit, a Viking clan ready to wage war against whatever forces stand in their way. They strategize late into the night, the flickering light of the campfire casting shadows that dance like the ghosts of fallen miners. Tommy knows that this battle is different from any he has fought before. He can't simply outwork the problem or muscle his way through it. This is a fight that requires cunning, diplomacy, and a level of patience that doesn't come naturally to him. But it's a fight he is willing to take on, not just for himself, but for the generations of Beets that may one day walk this land. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight pierce through the darkness, Tommy makes a decision. If this is to be his Viking funeral, then he will be the one to light the torch. He's going to fight for that water license with everything he has, but if in the end, the bureaucrats win and his operations are shut down, then he'll go out on his own terms. He'll make sure that the world knows Tommy Beets didn't go down without a fight. He'll set his dredge ablaze and watch it burn, a blazing tribute to a life lived with grit, determination, and an unyielding pursuit of gold. As the days turn to weeks, and the first snows of winter begin to fall, the outcome of Tony's battle remains uncertain. The water license hangs in the balance, a sword of Damocles over his head. Yet, in true Viking fashion, Tony refuses to bow to fate. He knows that whatever happens, his legacy will endure, not just in the gold he has unearthed, but in the spirit of defiance that he has instilled in his family, his crew, and the land itself.